Chapter 1. Stop reacting to everything. The puppet strings of the modern world. Imagine, for a moment, that you are walking through a crowded city street. You are a puppet. Every person who bumps into you has a string attached to your arm. Every notification on your phone has a string attached to your head. Every piece of criticism from a boss, every snide remark from a stranger, and every minor inconvenience, like a red light or a slow internet connection, is a hand reaching down from the sky, jerking those strings. By the end of the day, you are exhausted. You aren't exhausted because you did a lot of work. You are exhausted because you were pulled in 1,000 different directions by things that don't even matter. This is the state of the average human being in the 21st century. We have become reactors. We have lost the ability to stand still. We have lost the ability to look at a situation and say, "I see you, but I will not move for you." The core message of this chapter, and the foundation of this entire book, is simple. If everything disturbs you, everything controls you. The weakness of the immediate reaction. Why do we react? Biologically, it's a survival mechanism. Our ancestors needed to react instantly to the rustle of grass because it might be a predator. But today, the predator isn't a lion. It's a passive-aggressive comment on a Facebook post. Your brain, however, doesn't know the difference. It triggers the same fight or flight response. When you react instantly, you are operating out of your lizard brain, the amygdala. This part of the brain is fast, but it is stupid. It doesn't think about the long-term consequences. It doesn't care about your reputation, your peace of mind, or your goals. It only cares about immediate defense. Emotional reaction is a form of weakness that the world exploits. Think about the people who try to manipulate you. They do it by baiting you. They say something offensive because they want to see you lose your cool. They want to pull your strings. The moment you get angry, the moment you start defending yourself frantically, you have lost. You have given them exactly what they wanted. Control over your internal state. The power of the gap. The difference between a victim and a master is what happens in the gap. The gap is that tiny fraction of a second between something happening, the stimulus, and you doing something about it, the response. Most people have no gap. Stimulus, reaction. It's a straight line. A mentally strong person has a wide gap. Stimulus, pause, response. In that pause, you regain your humanity. You move the processing from your emotional amygdala to your logical prefrontal cortex. You ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Does this person's opinion change my reality? What is the most effective way to handle this? Sometimes, the most effective way to handle it is to do nothing at all. Case study, the workplace and the keyboard warrior. Let's look at a real-world example, workplace criticism. You've spent all week on a project. You present it, and a supervisor says, "This isn't what I asked for. It's sloppy." The reactor feels a heat rise in their chest. Their face flushes. They immediately start listing all the reasons why the supervisor is wrong. They blame the software, they blame the deadline, they blame their teammates. By reacting this way, they look fragile. They look like they can't handle the heat. Now, consider the observer. They hear the same criticism. They feel the same heat in their chest, because they are human, but they pause. They observe the feeling of anger without letting it drive the car. They wait 5 seconds. Then, they say, "I hear your concerns. Let me take an hour to review the requirements and I'll come back to you with a revised plan." Who has the power in that room? The person who didn't flinch. Silence and composure create an aura of competence. People are intimidated by those who cannot be easily rattled. The same applies to the digital world. Think of the hours of life energy wasted in online arguments. You see a comment that is factually wrong or personally offensive. Your string is pulled. You spend 30 minutes typing a rebuttal. You check your phone every 2 minutes for a reply. Your heart rate is up. Your focus is gone. For what? You are being controlled by a stranger with a Wi-Fi connection. The discipline of delay. Becoming hard to disturb is a physical discipline as much as a mental one. You must train your nervous system to tolerate the itch of a reaction without scratching it. When you feel that urge to snap back, to send that angry text, or to defend your ego, stop. Breathe. Tell yourself, I will respond to this, but not now. I will respond in 1 hour. Or better yet, tomorrow. You will find that 90% of the things that felt like a crisis at 2 p.m. feel like a triviality by 6 p.m. By delaying your reaction, you allow the emotional fog to clear. You ensure that when you finally do move, you move with precision, not out of desperation. The repetition phrase. To master this first discipline, you need a mantra to fall back on when the world starts pulling your strings. Whenever you feel the itch to react, repeat these words to yourself. Pause. Observe. Respond later. Say it when your partner starts an argument. Say it when you see a hateful comment. Say it when you get bad news. Pause. Stop the physical movement. Stop the words from leaving your mouth. Observe. Look at your own emotion as if you are a scientist. Oh, look at that. My heart is beating fast. I feel insulted. Interesting. Respond later. Give yourself the gift of time. Chapter summary and exercise. The world wants you to be a reactor. It wants you to be predictable, emotional, and easily swayed. When you stop reacting, you become a black hole for drama. It enters your space and simply disappears because you refuse to feed it. Your exercise for the next 24 hours. Identify your reactors. What is the one thing that always gets a rise out of you? Is it your mother's nagging? Is it traffic? Is it a certain coworker? Today, your goal is not to not feel the anger. Your goal is to delay the reaction. If someone cuts you off in traffic, count to 10 before you even allow yourself to grip the steering wheel tighter. If you get a frustrating email, do not reply until you have walked away from your desk and back. Build the gap. Secure your strings. Remember, if everything disturbs you, everything controls you. Pause. Observe. Respond later. Chapter 2. The Power of Emotional Neutrality. The Myth of the Passionate Leader. In our culture, we are often sold a lie that to be strong or passionate, you must be loud. We see movies of coaches screaming in locker rooms or CEOs throwing chairs in boardrooms, and we mistake that volatility for power. But in reality, those are the signs of a mind that is easily disturbed. True strength is not found in the height of your peaks or the depth of your valleys. It is found in your stability. This is the concept of emotional neutrality. Imagine a heart rate monitor. Most people live their lives on a jagged, erratic wave. When something good happens, a compliment, a small win, a like on social media, they spike into euphoria. When something bad happens, a criticism, a mistake, a rainy day, they crash into despair. They are slaves to the pendulum of their own biology. The flat line of elite performance. High performers, elite athletes, surgeons, and special forces operators strive for something different. They strive for the flat line. Now, this doesn't mean they don't feel. It means they don't allow the feeling to dictate the action. Look at a championship-level quarterback in the final 2 minutes of a game. If he gets too excited because they are winning, he loses his focus and throws an interception. If he gets too frustrated because he made a mistake, he loses his rhythm and fails the next play. He must remain neutral. Whether he just threw a touchdown or just threw a pick, his internal temperature must remain at exactly 98.6 degrees. Neutrality is your shield because it protects your focus. When you are neutral, you see the world as it actually is, not as your feelings paint it. You stop seeing disasters and start seeing situations. You stop seeing enemies and start seeing obstacles. The cost of overreaction. Every time you allow your emotions to swing wildly, you pay a cognitive tax. When you are in a state of high excitement or high frustration, your brain is flooded with chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals shut down the part of your brain responsible for long-term planning and rational thought. Have you ever said something in the heat of an argument that you regretted 5 minutes later? That's the cost of losing neutrality. You were drunk on emotion. A mentally unbreakable person remains sober at all times. They realize that the drama is a hallucination. The science of labeling. The secret to neutrality is how you label your reality. Your brain doesn't just experience the world, it interprets it. If a client cancels a contract and you say, "This is a catastrophe, my business is ruined," your body will react to a catastrophe. If you say, "A contract was cancelled, I need to find a new lead," your body stays calm. The first statement is a drama. The second statement is data. Emotional neutrality is the habit of choosing data over drama. It is the refusal to add adjectives to your problems. It's not a terrible day. It's a busy day. It's not a vicious attack. It's a criticism. The repetition phrase. When the world tries to pull you into its chaos, when your heart starts to race and you feel the urge to freak out, ground yourself with this truth. Nothing is as dramatic as your emotions make it. Repeat it. Internalize it. Your emotions are like a magnifying glass. They make tiny problems look like giants. When you take the magnifying glass away, you realize the giant was just a shadow. The practice of the third-person observer. To build this muscle, practice the third-person drill. When you are in a stressful situation, mentally step out of your body. Look down at yourself from the corner of the room. Instead of thinking, "I am so stressed right now," think, "I observe that your name is experiencing a stress response." By shifting to the third person, you create a layer of insulation between yourself and your emotions. You become the scientist watching the experiment, rather than the chemical reaction itself. This is the hallmark of a mind that is hard to disturb. Chapter 3. Silence is your hidden weapon. The explainer's trap. We live in an age of over-explanation. We feel an obsessive need to justify our choices, defend our mistakes, and prove our worth to people who aren't even paying attention. This is called the explainer's trap. The trap works like this. Someone challenges you or criticizes you. Because you feel a sting of insecurity, you immediately start talking. You explain why you did what you did. You provide context. You try to convince them that you are right. But here is the hard truth. Explaining is often a form of begging. When you over-explain, you are subconsciously begging the other person to understand you, to forgive you, or to agree with you. You are handing them the keys to your self-esteem. You are saying, "My peace of mind depends on your approval of my logic." The power of the unspoken word. Silence is a vacuum. And the human brain hates a vacuum. It wants to fill it. When you are challenged and you respond with silence, or a very brief, calm statement, the power dynamic shifts instantly. Imagine someone says something rude to you in a meeting. The weak identity person defends themselves. "Well, I only did that because the data was late and I thought it was the best move." The unbreakable identity person simply looks at the speaker, pauses for 3 seconds, and says, "I'll take that into consideration." Then, they move on to the next point. That silence is terrifying to an aggressor. It shows that their hook didn't catch anything. It shows that you are not playing the game. When you stop explaining yourself, you become a black box. People cannot figure out your weaknesses because you aren't broadcasting them through your nervous chatter. The strategy of selective response. Not everything requires an answer. We have been conditioned to believe that if someone asks a question or makes a comment, we are obligated to respond. This is false. True mental discipline is realizing that you own your words. Your words are currency. Why would you spend your currency on someone who is just trying to waste your time? If someone critiques your lifestyle, your diet, or your career path, you don't need to give them a PowerPoint presentation on why you're right. A simple "it works for me" is enough. If they push further, silence is your best friend. Silence doesn't mean you have no answer. It means you have decided they are not worth the effort of the explanation. The mirror effect. Silence has a secondary power. It acts as a mirror. When someone is shouting or being irrational, and you remain silent and composed, they are forced to see their own reflection in your calm. They see their own lack of control. Often, the person will keep talking until they eventually embarrass themselves or realize how ridiculous they sound. By holding your tongue, you allow them to defeat themselves. You don't need to win the argument. You win by being the only one who didn't lose their dignity. The repetition phrase. Carry this phrase with you into every conversation, every conflict, and every social interaction. Not every opinion deserves your response. Just because someone has a thought doesn't mean you have to acknowledge it. Just because someone throws a ball doesn't mean you have to catch it. Let it fall to the ground. Chapter Exercise. The 3-second rule. For the next 3 days, implement the 3-second rule. Whenever anyone asks you a challenging question, or whenever you feel the urge to defend yourself, wait 3 full seconds before speaking. During those 3 seconds, ask yourself, am I speaking to add value, or am I speaking to defend my ego? If it's the latter, stay silent. Shorten your answers. Use fewer words. Notice how much more powerful you feel when you aren't leaking energy through your mouth. Silence is the sound of a mind that is certain of itself. Become the mystery. Become the calm. Become silent. Chapter 4. Train your mind to withstand pressure. The diamond and the coal. In nature, the difference between a piece of coal and a diamond is not the material they are made of. Both are carbon. The difference is the amount of pressure they were forced to endure. One crumbled under the weight of the earth, the other was forged by it. Most people view pressure as a negative force. They view a looming deadline, a difficult conversation, or a financial setback as a personal attack from the universe. They spend their entire lives trying to avoid pressure, seeking the easy path. But here is the secret of the unbreakable mind. A life without pressure is a life without growth. When you avoid pressure, your mental muscles atrophy. You become psychologically fragile. This is why we see people having emotional breakdowns over minor inconveniences, like a late food delivery or a slow Wi-Fi connection. Because they have never trained under weight, even the smallest feather feels like a boulder. The concept of stress inoculation. In medicine, a vaccine works by introducing a tiny, harmless version of a virus into your body. This stresses your immune system, teaching it how to fight so that when the real virus arrives, you are ready. This is called inoculation. You must do the same with your mind. You cannot wait for a major life crisis to find out if you are strong. You must inoculate yourself against pressure by seeking it out in small, controlled doses. This is why disciplined people do difficult things on purpose. They take cold showers, they lift heavy weights, they wake up earlier than they want to. They aren't doing these things just for physical health, they are doing them to train their brain to stay calm while the body is screaming stop. When you can maintain a steady breath while submerged in 40-degree water, you are training the exact same neural pathways you will need when a business deal goes south or a family emergency strikes. The eye of the storm mindset. When a hurricane rips through a city, the winds at the edges are destructive and chaotic. But at the very center, the eye, it is perfectly still. Pressure is the wind. It will always exist. You cannot control the storm, but you can choose where you stand. Most people stand at the edge of the storm, letting every gust of wind knock them over. The mentally disciplined person moves to the center. How do you find the eye? You find it through tactical breathing. When pressure hits, your body's natural response is to take shallow, rapid breaths. This sends a signal to your brain that you are in danger, which triggers panic. By consciously slowing your breath, inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, you manually override your nervous system. You are telling your brain, I am not in danger. I am in control. Pressure as a diagnostic tool. Instead of hating pressure, start using it as a diagnostic tool. When you feel yourself starting to crack, when your voice gets shaky, when you get defensive, or when you feel the urge to quit, don't judge yourself. Instead, observe it. Say to yourself, this is where my limit currently is. This is the weight that makes me stumble. Then, stay in that pressure just a little bit longer. If a meeting is getting tense and you want to leave, stay for 2 more minutes. If a project is difficult and you want to scroll on your phone, give it 5 more minutes of focus. You are stretching your capacity for pressure. Over time, what used to feel like a level 10 crisis will feel like a level 2 minor task. The repetition phrase. When the weight of the world feels like it's pushing down on your shoulders, and you feel the familiar urge to complain or collapse, repeat this to yourself. Pressure is not punishment. Pressure is preparation. It is not happening to you. It is happening for you. It is the gym where your soul gets stronger. Chapter Exercise. The voluntary hardship. To finish this chapter, you are given a mission. For the next 7 days, you must choose one voluntary hardship every morning. It could be a cold plunge, a fasted workout, or tackling the hardest task on your to-do list first. As you do it, pay attention to the voice in your head that says, "This is too much." Do not argue with that voice. Just listen to it and keep moving. Prove to that voice that you are the master, and it is the servant. Train in the calm so that you can lead in the storm. Chapter 5. Stop seeking approval. The invisible leash. If you were to see a dog on a leash, you would know exactly who is in control, the person holding the other end. Most humans believe they are free, but they are actually walking around with an invisible leash around their necks. That leash is held by everyone they meet, their boss, their friends, their parents, and even strangers on the internet. The name of that leash is validation. When you seek approval, you are handing over your stability to someone else. You are saying, "I will feel good about myself today only if you tell me I'm doing a good job." This makes you incredibly fragile. If the person holding the leash pulls it, by criticizing you or ignoring you, you fall apart. You cannot be unbreakable as long as your self-worth is up for public debate. The likes economy and the fragile ego. We live in the most validation-addicted era in human history. We post our meals, our workouts, and our thoughts, then we wait for the red hearts to appear. Every notification is a hit of dopamine that tells us we are okay. But what happens when the likes don't come? What happens when someone leaves a negative comment? The reactor feels a genuine sense of pain. This is because their identity is external. It is built on the shifting sands of other people's opinions. And because people are fickle, moody, and often projecting their own insecurities, building your life on their approval is a recipe for a mental breakdown. The internal scorecard. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in history, speaks about the internal versus external scorecard. An external scorecard asks, "How do I look to the world?" An internal scorecard asks, "Did I live up to my own standards today?" A person with an internal scorecard is dangerous. They cannot be bought, and they cannot be bullied. If they know they did their best, your criticism doesn't touch them. If they know they followed their discipline, your lack of applause doesn't slow them down. To become hard to disturb, you must burn your external scorecard. You must decide that the only judge whose opinion matters is the version of you that looks back in the mirror at night. The so what? Technique. When someone tries to manipulate you through disapproval, perhaps they say, "I can't believe you're starting that business," or "That's a weird way to live," you must master the so what technique. You don't say "so what" out loud. That would be defensive. You say it internally. "They don't like my clothes." So what? They think my goals are unrealistic. So what? They are gossiping about my choices. So what? By asking "so what," you realize that their disapproval has zero physical impact on your life. It doesn't stop your heart from beating. It doesn't take the money out of your bank account. It doesn't stop you from working toward your goals. It is just noise. And you do not let noise dictate your music. The high cost of being liked. There is a heavy price to being liked by everyone. You have to be boring. You have to be safe. You have to blend in. You have to suppress your true thoughts so you don't offend anyone. The most powerful people in history were rarely liked by the masses during their time. They were respected, feared, or hated, but they were never lukewarm. If you want to do anything of significance, you must be comfortable with being the villain in someone else's story. You must accept that you are not for everyone. The repetition phrase. Whenever you feel that pang of insecurity, whenever you find yourself checking to see if people are happy with you, bring yourself back to your center with this phrase. Approval is optional. Discipline is mandatory. Whether they clap for you or boo you, your work remains the same. Your habits remain the same. Your discipline does not change based on the audience. Chapter exercise. The silence of success. For the next week, practice hidden wins. When you do something great, when you hit a new PR in the gym, when you finish a difficult project, or when you do a kind deed, tell no one. Do not post it. Do not mention it to your friends. The goal is to prove to yourself that the satisfaction of the act itself is enough. You are training your brain to derive pleasure from the effort, not the praise. When you no longer need the world to see your wins, you become truly unstoppable. Build in silence. Grow in private. Let your results be your only noise. Chapter 6. Master the art of controlled energy. The leak in the tank. Imagine you are a high-performance vehicle. You have a powerful engine, a sleek design, and a clear destination. But as you drive, you realize your fuel gauge is dropping at an alarming rate. You aren't driving fast, and the road isn't particularly steep. Why are you running out of gas? The answer is simple. Your fuel tank is full of tiny, microscopic leaks. Most people are not exhausted because they are working too hard. They are exhausted because they are leaking emotional energy all day long. They are worried about what their neighbor thinks of their new car. They are angry about a political headline they saw at 7 a.m. They are stressed about a hypothetical conversation they might have next week. By the time they actually need to focus on their goals, their tank is empty. They have nothing left for the things that actually matter. The myth of unlimited concern. We have been lied to by modern culture. We are told that we should care about everything. We should have an opinion on every world event, every celebrity scandal, and every local grievance. But the human brain was not designed to carry the weight of the entire world. Your concern is a finite resource. Think of it like a bank account. Every time you get angry at a stranger in traffic, you are spending $5 of your focus. Every time you spend an hour scrolling through negative news, you are spending $50 of your mental clarity. The mentally unbreakable person practices selective apathy. This doesn't mean they are cold or heartless. It means they are disciplined. They understand that to be great at a few things, they must be ignorant of 1,000 things. They ask themselves one brutal question before engaging with anything: does this move the needle on my mission? If the answer is no, the energy is withheld. The hierarchy of energy. To master your energy, you must understand where it goes. There are 3 levels of energy expenditure. The circle of influence. These are things you can actually change: your habits, your work ethic, your reactions, and your health. This is where 90% of your energy should go. The circle of concern. These are things that affect you but you cannot change: the economy, the weather, or company-wide layoffs. You should acknowledge these, but spend 0 emotional energy fighting them. The circle of noise. This is everything else: gossip, social media drama, and the opinions of people who don't know you. This is the leak. This is where energy goes to die. A person who is hard to disturb has closed the door on the circle of noise. They have accepted the circle of concern with stoic neutrality, and they have poured all their fire into the circle of influence. The power of the no. The most powerful tool for energy control is the word no. Not just saying no to others, but saying no to yourself. No, I will not check my phone right now. No, I will not engage in this argument. No, I will not allow this setback to ruin my evening. Every time you say no to a distraction, you are saying yes to your future. You are guarding the gate of your mind. You must treat your attention as your most valuable asset. If someone tried to steal money out of your wallet, you would stop them. So why do you let people steal hours of your peace? The repetition phrase. When you feel yourself getting pulled into a meaningless conflict or a spiral of worry, stop and remember that your life is fueled by this very moment. Protect it. Protect your energy like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your life is not made of years, it is made of days. And your days are made of where you place your energy. Chapter exercise. The energy audit. For the next 24 hours, carry a small notebook or use your phone to track your emotional spend. Every time you feel a surge of emotion, anger, anxiety, or even excessive excitement, write down what caused it. At the end of the day, look at the list. Ask yourself, how many of these things actually contributed to my growth? You will likely find that 80% of your emotional output was wasted on things that don't matter. Tomorrow, your goal is to cut that number in half. Be the stingy owner of your energy. Don't give it away for free. Chapter 7. Become comfortable with discomfort. The poison of comfort. We live in the age of the soft life. We have climate-controlled rooms, food delivered to our doors with a tap of a finger, and endless entertainment to numb our brains. We have optimized our lives for maximum comfort. But there is a hidden cost to this luxury. Comfort is a slow, sweet poison for the mind. When you are always comfortable, you lose your edge. You become like an indoor cat that has forgotten how to hunt. The moment a real challenge appears, a loss of a job, a health scare, or a period of grief, you crumble because your discomfort muscles have completely atrophied. To be impossible to break, you must realize that safety is a delusion and comfort is a trap. The calloused mind. Think about a guitar player. When they first start playing, their fingertips are soft. After an hour of practice, they bleed. It hurts. They want to quit. But if they keep playing, day after day, the skin begins to change. It becomes thick, tough, and insensitive to pain. They develop callous. The mind works exactly the same way. You cannot think your way into mental toughness. You must act your way into it. You must callous your mind by exposing it to controlled, voluntary hardship. This is the philosophy of hormesis, the idea that a small amount of stress makes an organism stronger. If you lift a weight that is easy, your muscles don't grow. If you lift a weight that is uncomfortably heavy, your body realizes it is weak and builds more muscle to compensate. To build an unbreakable mind, you must consistently prove to yourself that you can handle things that suck. The gates of discomfort. There are 3 main gates of discomfort you should walk through regularly. Physical discomfort. This is the easiest to measure. Cold showers, long runs, heavy lifting, or fasting. When your body says, "I want to stop," and you say 1 more minute, you are training the prefrontal cortex to overrule the lizard brain. Social discomfort. This means doing things that might make you look weird or wrong to the crowd. Asking for a discount at a coffee shop. Eating alone in a restaurant. Speaking up when everyone else is silent. This trains you to stop seeking approval. Intellectual discomfort. This means reading books that challenge your worldview. Talking to people you disagree with. Learning a skill that makes you feel stupid for a while. This prevents your mind from becoming rigid and fragile. The one more principle. You don't need to change your entire life overnight to become comfortable with discomfort. You just need to master the one more principle. When you are working and you feel that urge to check your phone, do 1 more page of work. When you are exercising and you want to quit, do 1 more rep. When you are in a cold shower and you want to turn the handle, stay for 10 more seconds. In those 1 more moments, you are rewriting your identity. You are moving from a person who escapes to a person who endures. You are teaching your nervous system that discomfort is not a signal to run, it is a signal to grow. The repetition phrase. When you find yourself in a difficult situation, whether it's a grueling workout or a stressful day at the office, don't wish for it to be over. Instead, welcome it. Say to yourself, discomfort is the price of strength. You are paying the fee. You are buying your resilience. Every second of discomfort is a deposit into your unbreakable bank account. Chapter Exercise. The 30-day hardship. Choose one thing that you currently avoid because it is uncomfortable. It must be something that is good for you, but that your brain hates. Taking a 2-minute cold shower every morning. Waking up at 5 a.m. without hitting snooze. Doing 50 push-ups every time you feel stressed. Commit to this for 30 days. No excuses. No cheat days. The goal is not the physical result. The goal is to kill the voice of comfort in your head. By the end of the month, you won't just be stronger. You will be a person who is no longer afraid of a challenge. Seek the hard path, and the easy life will follow. Stay uncomfortable. Stay unbreakable. Chapter 8. Detach from drama. The drama bonfire. Imagine you are walking through a dark forest and you come across a massive bonfire. The flames are high, the heat is intense, and the wood is crackling. You have 2 choices. You can walk up to the fire, throw more wood onto it, and get burned by the sparks, or you can simply keep walking and let the fire burn itself out. Drama is exactly like that bonfire. It is a self-sustaining cycle of emotional chaos that requires constant fuel to stay alive. That fuel is your attention. Most people are fire feeders. They hear a piece of gossip, they see an argument on social media, or they get caught in a family feud, and their first instinct is to jump in. They want to set the record straight. They want to take a side. They want to express their outrage. But every time you engage with drama, you are throwing a fresh log onto the fire. You aren't solving the problem, you are becoming part of the heat. The psychology of the drama seeker. To detach from drama, you must first understand why it exists. Drama is usually a mask for insecurity. People who create drama often feel a lack of significance in their own lives. By creating conflict, they feel powerful. They feel like the main character in a high-stakes movie. When you realize that drama is often just a desperate cry for attention, it loses its power over you. You stop seeing a threat and start seeing a distraction. An unbreakable person realizes that they have a limited amount of time on this earth. Why would you spend even 10 minutes of your life worrying about who said what to whom at a party you didn't even want to go to? Why would you let a toxic co-worker's complaints ruin your dinner with your family? When you value your future, you become very protective of your present. The grey rock method. One of the most effective tools for detaching from drama is a psychological technique called the grey rock method. Think about a grey rock on the ground. It's boring. It's unremarkable. It doesn't react when you step on it. It doesn't change color if you yell at it. If you want to stop drama seekers from targeting you, you must become a grey rock. When someone tries to bait you into an argument or pull you into a gossip session, give them nothing. The drama seeker says, "Can you believe what Sarah said about the project?" The grey rock says, "Oh, I haven't really thought about it. I've been focused on my own tasks." The drama seeker says, "Aren't you mad that they changed the schedule?" The grey rock says, "It is what it is. I'll make it work." Eventually, the drama seeker will get bored. They want a reaction. They want heat. When they realize you are a heat sink who provides zero emotional feedback, they will move on to someone else who is easier to disturb. The law of emotional distance. Detachment is not the same as being cold. It is about creating emotional distance. You can care about a person without getting sucked into their chaos. Think of yourself like a lifeguard. If someone is drowning and flailing wildly, a trained lifeguard doesn't just swim out and let the person grab them. If they do, both people will drown. The lifeguard stays at a distance, uses a tool, and remains calm. If a friend or family member is constantly in a state of drama, you can listen, but you must not marinate in their emotions. Do not make their emergency your emergency. Their inability to manage their life is not a mandate for you to lose your peace. The repetition phrase. The next time you feel the pull of a fire, the next time someone tries to involve you in a conflict that has nothing to do with your goals, whisper this truth to yourself. If it doesn't build your future, it doesn't deserve your attention. Your attention is your life force. Stop spending it on things that will be forgotten by next Tuesday. Chapter exercise. The social cleanse. Today, you are going to audit your drama intake. Digital. Go through your social media. If you follow accounts that post outrage porn, celebrity gossip, or constant negativity, unfollow them. Physical. Identify the one person in your life who brings the most drama. For the next week, practice the grey rock method with them. Keep your answers short, neutral, and boring. Notice how much more mental RAM you have available when you aren't processing other people's nonsense. The less you care about the trivial, the more power you have for the essential. Chapter 9. Build an unshakable identity. The house on the rock. There is an old parable about two men. One built his house on the sand, and the other built his house on the rock. When the storms came and the winds blew, the house on the sand collapsed into the sea. But the house on the rock stood firm. In this book, we have talked about reacting, pressure, and approval. But all of those things depend on one central foundation: your identity. If you don't know who you are, the world will tell you who you are. If you don't have a code to live by, you will adopt the code of the people around you. A weak identity is why people fold under peer pressure. A weak identity is why people change their opinions based on who they are talking to. They are chameleons who have no true color of their own. Defining your standards. An unshakable identity is built on standards, not feelings. Most people live by how they feel. I feel tired, so I won't work out. I feel insulted, so I will yell back. A person with a strong identity lives by their standards. I am a person who never misses a workout. regardless of how I feel. I am a person who remains calm under fire, regardless of how insulted I feel. To build this, you must sit down and decide, in advance, what your non-negotiables are. What do you stand for? Are you a person of integrity? Are you a person of discipline? Are you a person who protects their peace? Once these standards are set, they become the filter for every decision you make. When a challenge arises, you don't ask, "What should I do?" You ask, "What would a person with my standards do?" The power of self-definition. The world will always try to label you. They will call you stubborn, quiet, ambitious, or difficult. If you accept their labels, you give them power over you. An unbreakable person practices self-definition. You choose the words that describe you. If someone calls you cold because you refuse to engage in drama, you don't take it as an insult. You redefine it. I am not cold, I am focused. I am a person who prioritizes my goals over gossip. When you define yourself, external opinions lose their sting. They aren't truth, they are just reviews. And you are the only author of your own story. Integrity, the glue of identity. The strongest way to build an unshakable identity is through integrity. But integrity isn't just about being honest with others. It's about being honest with yourself. Every time you make a promise to yourself and break it, every time you say you'll wake up at 6 a.m. and you hit snooze, you poke a hole in your identity. You are sending a signal to your brain that says, "My word doesn't matter. I am not a person who can be trusted." This is where fragility comes from. You feel disturbable because, deep down, you know you aren't in control of yourself. To reverse this, start making tiny promises and keeping them with religious fervor. If you say you'll drink a gallon of water, do it. If you say you'll read 10 pages, do it. When you become a person who always does what they say they are going to do, you develop a core of steel. You know that if you can trust yourself, you have nothing to fear from the world. The repetition phrase. When you are tempted to bend for the crowd, when you feel your resolve weakening because you want to fit in or escape a hard moment, remind yourself of your foundation. Know who you are. Move accordingly. You are not a leaf in the wind. You are the wind. You don't ask for permission to be yourself. You simply are. Chapter exercise. The personal code. Write down 3 identity statements that you will live by for the rest of your life. They must start with "I am a person who." Example, I am a person who stays calm when others panic. Example, I am a person who finishes what they start. Example, I am a person whose peace is not for sale. Read these every morning. Memorize them. When life gets chaotic, these 3 sentences are your map. They are the rock upon which your house is built. External storms cannot reshape a person who is already forged in stone. Know your code. Move with purpose. Chapter 10. Become the calm in every storm. The atmosphere of chaos. Think of the most chaotic environment you can imagine. Perhaps it is a hospital emergency room after a major accident. Perhaps it is the trading floor of a stock exchange during a market crash. Or perhaps it is a family home in the middle of a bitter, screaming argument. In these environments, there is a common frequency: panic. Panic is contagious. It spreads like a virus from one person to the next. When one person raises their voice, the next person raises theirs higher. When one person begins to run, everyone begins to run. In the midst of this, most people are simply reactors, leaves caught in a hurricane, spinning faster and faster until they break. But in every one of these scenarios, there is occasionally a person who defies the laws of emotional physics. They are the surgeon who moves with slow, deliberate precision while the alarms are blaring. They are the leader who speaks in a low, steady voice while the company is folding. They are the calm in the storm. By the time you finish this chapter, that person will be you. The thermostat versus the thermometer. To understand the final stage of your transformation, you must understand the difference between a thermometer and a thermostat. A thermometer is a tool of reaction. Its only job is to reflect the environment. If the room is hot, the thermometer becomes hot. If the room is cold, it becomes cold. Most people are emotional thermometers. Their mood, their energy, and their peace are entirely dependent on the temperature of the world around them. A thermostat, however, is a tool of leadership. A thermostat does not care what the temperature is currently. It sets the temperature. If the room is freezing, the thermostat triggers the heat. It changes the environment to match its internal setting. To be hard to disturb is to stop being a thermometer and start being a thermostat. When you walk into a room full of drama, you don't catch the drama. You suppress it with your stillness. When you encounter a crisis, you don't reflect the panic. You project the solution. You are no longer a victim of the atmosphere. You are the creator of it. The biology of stillness. Why is the calm person so powerful? It isn't just a vibe, it is biological reality. When a human being panics, their brain undergoes a downshift. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic, creativity, and complex problem-solving, literally shuts down. The blood flows away from the brain and into the muscles for fight or flight. In a state of panic, you are effectively operating with the IQ of a cornered animal. The person who remains calm, however, keeps their prefrontal cortex online. While everyone else is reacting to the fear of the problem, the calm person is analyzing the mechanics of the problem. This is why, in moments of crisis, the person who stays calm automatically becomes the leader. People are evolutionarily hardwired to look for stillness in a storm. They are looking for a parent or a captain. When you refuse to flinch, you are sending a signal to everyone else's nervous system that says, I have the map. Follow me. The zoom out technique. The greatest enemy of calm is microfocus. When we are in a crisis, we tend to get tunnel vision. We focus on the one mean text, the one missed deadline, or the one unexpected bill. This makes the problem look massive, filling our entire field of vision. To remain the calm in the storm, you must master the zoom out. Imagine your life as a movie. When you are zoomed in, a single sad scene feels like the end of the world. But when you zoom out and look at the entire 90-minute film, you see that the sad scene was necessary for the character's growth. It was just a plot point. When a storm hits your life, ask yourself, how will I feel about this 3 years from now? In most cases, you won't even remember it. By projecting your mind into the future, you rob the present crisis of its power to disturb you. You realize that this storm is just weather, and weather always passes. The 3 pillars of the unbreakable mind. As we reach the conclusion of this journey, let us summarize the 3 pillars that keep you standing when others fall. Non-attachment. You do not own the events of the world. You do not own the opinions of others. You do not even own your emotions. You are the observer. You watch the thoughts and feelings pass by like clouds, but you remain the sky, vast, silent, and unaffected. Internal validation. You have stopped asking the world for permission to be okay. Your okayness is a decision you made this morning. It is not up for debate. Active stillness. You do not mistake calm for inaction. The calm person is often the most active person in the room, but their actions are precise, not frantic. They move like a grandmaster on a chessboard, one move at a time, with total clarity. The final repetition phrase. You have learned to pause. You have learned to observe. You have learned to embrace discomfort and silence. Now, wrap it all in this final truth. Calm is power. Panic is a leak. Anger is a weakness. But calm is the ultimate form of control. It is the signature of a mind that has conquered itself. The unbreakable life. Being hard to disturb does not mean you will never face pain. It does not mean you will never lose someone you love, or fail at a goal, or feel the sting of a setback. Life is a contact sport. You will be hit. But being impossible to break means that when you are hit, you do not shatter. You absorb the energy. You use the pressure to become denser, stronger, and more centered. The world is full of people who are looking for a reason to be upset. They are looking for a reason to quit. They are looking for a reason to blame others. Do not be one of them. Be the anomaly. Be the person who is so grounded in their own identity and their own discipline that the world eventually gives up trying to rattle you. When the storm comes, and it will, do not pray for the wind to stop. The wind has its own work to do. Instead, pray for a deeper root. Pray for a steadier hand. The final exercise, the anchor drill. From this day forward, whenever you feel the first spark of irritation, the first flicker of anxiety, or the first urge to defend yourself, stop. Drop your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Take one deep breath into your belly. In that 1 second of stillness, you are reclaiming your soul. You are reminding the universe that you are not a puppet. You are the master of your internal state. You are hard to disturb. You are impossible to break. Go forth and move with the power of the calm. Epilogue. You have now completed the framework for an unbreakable life. These 10 chapters are not just words to be listened to. They are code to be lived. If you feel yourself reacting, return to chapter 1. If you feel the need for approval, return to chapter 5. If the world feels too heavy, return to chapter 10. The journey to mental mastery never truly ends, but you now have the map. The strings have been cut. You are free. This is the end of become hard to disturb, impossible to break. Now, the work begins.